welcome back to this session in Ballroom 1. We got Michelle up now. She's from Microsoft, and she'll be talking about code without barriers, inclusive Python development with AI.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to my talk, because I appreciate there have been quite a few that were about diversity and inclusion, and we're on day 3, so maybe you're all, most people might be done with it. Does anyone, I was thinking this morning, does anyone else appreciate the difficulty of speaking on day 3? Do you know what I was most worried about? Apart from everyone said it before. I was actually just super concerned because every single talk I saw was so good, and I was getting stronger and stronger imposter syndrome, and I was like, how can I even say anything? But I'll give it a crack. Bear with me. I definitely guarantee at some point I'll just start telling stories, and I hope they are funny and interesting as opposed to just me rambling. If we are not already connected, then you can find me on all of the socials there. I work at Microsoft. I've worked there for almost 13 years now. When I came to this country in 2010, I started working for a company called Programmed Group. Does anyone know them? They have like a bunch of companies under them, including programmed facilities management and some recruitment and all of that. But I wanted to, assimilate and become really Australian. So I thought I needed an Australian company to do that. But I did miss the big company culture, because before that I'd been with IBM. And before that I had been with Anheuser-Busch InBev. Does anyone know who they are? Yes, this is the beer drinkers in the room nodding with me. They are the largest brewer in the world by volume. And if you are early in career and you're thinking about how do I know which company to work for, when I was your age, I thought, the best way is to think about what you would like and what makes you happy and work for a company that makes that. So I had many happy years there, and they did give us a slab, in fact 4 slabs every quarter. Yes, this was a legacy thing that came out of the fact that initially, before they were doing that, there was a rule that if you worked on a brewery site, you could just drink as much as you wanted from the vats during the day. And the problem came when too many people drowned in those vats whilst at work, so they had to stop it. And so we won't take away the benefit, but you need to take it home with you and consume it there. So, yes, good years. Good years. Anyway, the other thing is, Renee said to me this morning, she was speaking to someone who said, is Michelle famous? I just wanted to clarify, Michelle is famous adjacent. So I do speak at international conferences. Famous people know my name. I know Scott Hanselman, I know Mark Rasinovich and Don Osaka, and they know who I am, but I wouldn't say that I have like millions of followers and that. So if you could help me out, if you do, all of you subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'll have 700. So that'll be good. Okay, who gets to code in the future? Everybody. That should be the answer, right? If you were thinking anything else, then that's not good. Okay, we write the code that the world runs on. And the world is very diverse, but the tech industry is still not, which is always such a bizarre thing to me, because it should be the most open and diverse field. You can do what we do from anywhere in the world as long as you have an internet connection and a laptop. So really, anyone should be able to do it. You can do it whatever hours of the day or night you want to do it. So if you need to drop off kids at school, or if you need to take care of an aging relative, you should be able to do those things and then just get your code written when you have some free moments, not when not between the specific hours of 9 and 5, and you shouldn't have to be sitting in an office to do it, because none of that is important. I think it's a tremendous career for everyone, and I'm always super excited to try and get women and the next generation into tech careers, because it is just such a great field to be in. That's where our Code Without Barriers program came from. Now, there are a lot of programs around this country that are designed to help people get into code. So Coder Dojo is one of my favorite. That's for children aged 7 to 17. Mostly you see those out of the universities, so you have a lot of student mentors running them. And you also see them now in libraries and in schools. And it's really great because, of course, there is no barrier to entry either. You could start coding when you are as young as 6 or 7. There's an excellent TED Talk on the internet by a young boy called Thomas Suarez, who at the age of 7 wrote his first app. It was a whack-a-mole game that you could hit Justin Bieber over the head with a hammer. And he earned enough money from that game to buy his own Xbox. Now imagine if your 7-year-old children were already earning enough money to buy their own consoles. By the time he was 12, he had 3 more apps and his own company. Obviously, his parents needed to help with that, but still. And I just think, compared to us, many of us, I'm definitely looking at some people who are in my generation in this room. We did not have the internet when we were at university. It did not exist yet. Google did not exist yet. When I was in high school, there were some computers, but they were only for spreadsheets. You know, it was a different time than they are growing up with now. There's a lot of women's coding communities. So my friend and colleague Renee, she is the founder of Girls Programming Network and a group called Tech Inclusion. There is She Codes Australia. My other friend, Kate Kerwin, runs that. Obviously, Microsoft has Code Without Barriers. There's several more. You might see them in some of the pictures if you can squint really hard. But yeah, there's plenty of communities that you can be involved in, plenty of communities that you can help. They all have the same mission: open it up so that we have this more inclusive and diverse group of people that are coding. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir at PyCon, because obviously there is no more inclusive coding community than Python coders, but glad you're here to talk about it anyway. Did I? Yes, on the next slide. So here's some nice pictures. Look, I put a star around Renee's face. Just in case you weren't sure who she is. She is hiding with a mask on, so, you know. But she is there. That is her face. Okay, so these, I suppose they're not really foundations, but they are things that all communities tend to do to try and make a safe and welcoming place and to try and enable and help the people that join them to be part of it. And the way that they go about these things can be different. So Girls Programming Network, it's all girls teaching girls, right? It's a really safe space because it is a place where they know they don't have to face anyone outside of other girls. In She Codes, you can be a male mentor in there, and it is really wonderful because it is great if you are a man who is a great coder to use your privilege to enable women to level up and code. And I think it's one of the coolest and relaxing places for me to go, even though I hate people. Oops, sorry, I said that out loud. I find it stressful to be amongst people all the time, but you know, in communities like this, in communities like She Codes, like GPN, I feel like I am surrounded by people that I trust and I don't need to fear, and that is the safe space that everyone is in. And so there are plenty of ways that you can get involved, even if you are a white man. Positive marketing was the other thing I wanted to call out. this conference doesn't have an official photographer. Jack was telling me that all the sponsors came in at the last minute, so they didn't know if they had enough money for a photographer. So he's running around with a camera, and also he's relying on people to make posts on social media saying what a great conference this is and what an inclusive place this is. So one of the problems, I think, with why there are less women and girls in tech careers is marketing. When you look at a lot of conferences, what you see is photos mostly of men. And when women look at it, they think, oh, that is not a conference for me to go to. That is not a safe space. So if you are here at this conference where it is very diverse and inclusive, then take a picture. Take a selfie with some people around you showing what a friendly, nice place it is, and post that up on your preferred social media so that the marketing that goes out there is that this is a place to come. This is a place to be amongst people that will be kind to you. Change that image that says coding is for boys, not for girls. It is important because I think it is like the whole blue aisle, pink aisle thing is part of what have driven this wedge between us, and there's no need for it because we are better together. So, yes, each of these things to try and build a community and keep us safe and inspire us and level women up. But not just women, I guess level up every area that you see as being lesser. I think in tech careers generally we need more people in total, not just more women, but more people in total. And also, it is a great career for people who are later in life to change into as well. So in Australia, definitely, I think retirement age is a bit of a blurry line. We might not, I think a lot of people start to worry they might not have enough money in retirement. Why shouldn't they learn to code and do a little bit of projects on the side? And I think that's a lot easier than having to do something manual in your old age. So encourage your grandparents to learn to code. I have seen them at coder dojos, in fact, learning volunteering to be mentors, but helping the kids code as a way to spend time with their grandchildren. Never too late to learn to code. Okay, so for the Code Without Barriers program, it was launched in Australia and APAC, well, ASEAN first, and they had tremendous success. So 780,000 women were skilled in that first year, 373 got job placements, and 500 million reached via socials, by engagement online. So you can absolutely do a lot because there is a lot of requirement for it. People want it, they want to be part of it. Python is a gateway language. I don't mean that you should start using Python and then move on to something harder to get your kicks, because Python, as we all know, is the #1 language in the world, and it is super popular today. It has, in fact, had a huge jump again in popularity as a result of AI rising, because it is a really, really flexible language to use with AI. I realised they said stand out here, don't stand behind your laptop, Michelle. You even see me when I'm behind there, I'm so short. Sorry. Python holds the top spot, yes, because of it is super easy to use with AI, very flexible for that. But these things as well are good reasons why we often teach it as the first language. It has very simple syntax, it has this already very inclusive community, and it has wide applicability. Some of the biggest apps in the world were written on Python. So it's super useful to teach all of these new communities how to use Python. I would say, though, as they have said in all of the diversity stuff, we shouldn't judge people who like other languages. And I do say to the people that I am teaching to code in those communities that it isn't always the first language that you are taught that really speaks to your heart, you know? I was taught C++ in university, and I actually thought I was a very bad programmer and I didn't understand it and I should change careers because C++ makes no sense to me. I don't understand how these people think. It isn't how I think. But when I saw Python, I was like, but this is it. This is simple. This is clear. This makes sense. This goes in order. And I also like JavaScript because it's a bit weird, and I think I'm a bit weird as well. And so I'd say to them all, if you try it and you really don't like it because nothing makes sense, then absolutely look at other languages. You will find something else that makes more sense to you, and you can go there. But not on day one. I'll come back to that later. Oops. Go forward. No, nothing. Here we go. Oh, this is my little Snickers. Snickers, she is no longer with us, I'm afraid, but she was a huge vibe coder. When I say she was a huge vibe coder, what I actually, we didn't even have agent mode when Snickers was here, but code completions. Right? So you're writing your code, and then all you have to press is tab and enter to get stuff accepted. And she would sit there with her little paw on the enter key for me, which was very useful. But I do not encourage these communities to vibe code. I absolutely am fully against it. But I'm not fully against it. I'm fully against it for them. And I think a few people have kind of gone over why. If you are vibe coding, well, humans are essentially very lazy people. And given the opportunity, you're not reading all the stuff that it is explaining to you about why it's doing this and what it's going to do and all of that. You're just hitting enter. And you're just thinking, yeah, go ahead, just do it. And if it all goes wrong, I can just undo it. I can just say undo, and it'll all go back. So there is absolutely no, nothing on you to use your brain and to think. And so if you start your career in coding using agent mode, you are not going to learn. You're not going to learn about architecture. You're not going to learn about syntax. You're not going to learn all of the things that you need to learn. You will never be a great programmer if that is what you start your career with. And all of the news with the whole, we're going to get rid of all the programmers because, everyone can do it now. Truth is, they don't want to. Our business users do not want to code and build apps. If they did, they would have been developers. They might play with it for a little bit, but they're going to get frustrated when it doesn't do exactly what they imagined it would do because they don't know how to tell it what to do. Whereas a senior dev does know how to tell agent mode what to do. So if you are a senior dev, absolutely check it out and go with it because it is going to enable you to do what you were going to do anyway a lot faster. It's going to absolutely just get through all of that boilerplate, get through all of that stuff, but it will follow your architecture and you can guide it properly and you can do it all faster. So agent mode for senior devs, juniors, early in careers, beginners, do not touch that. Let's learn actively. So, one of the biggest fears that I find when I go into those communities is women will come for a one-day workshop and they will try to do it and they will feel like they're getting lost amongst the other people that are maybe moving faster than them. I personally cannot concentrate at all in a room full of people trying to code and learn. So there's no way I'm moving as fast through the tutorial as other people around me. And so one of the things people will often say to me is, obviously I'm no good at this. I've tried it and I'm no good. I shouldn't, what they said all along was right. Girls aren't good at maths, girls aren't good at code. I should just go back to the kitchen. No one ever says that part, actually, but you can see that they're thinking in their brain, I am not good enough for this. This thought comes from that voice in your head, and let me remind you, that voice in your head is not your friend. Does anyone else have that voice in their head that tells them they're not good enough, that holds them back from opportunity? Yes, do not listen to that voice. It is not your friend. Sometimes it sounds like your mother. Yeah. Yes. But what I like to remind those people is no one ever walked out of the birth canal. It took you 2 years around to learn how to walk, to learn how to feed yourself, and more than that, to learn how to be an independent person, how to grow, how to do anything. And yet we go in and we do 1 day's worth of coding and we say, I can't do this, I'm no good at it. That's a crazy thought. Don't listen to that voice. Of course you shouldn't be perfect at something the first time you do it. Of course you shouldn't be able to win a race. Of course you shouldn't be able to write a program. Of course it's going to take you more than 1 day. And so what you need to remember, what they need to remember, is that all of these messages, all of these voices that say this is not something you can do are not correct. Just like everything else, start a little bit today. And then when your brain can't take any more, put it down and come back to it tomorrow. And do the same thing every day for 20 days. And then you'll be surprised at how far you have gone along that journey. And we need to remind the women in our programs of this kind of thing, but also we may as well remind ourselves of that as well. Stop being so harsh on yourselves, you know. Okay, I have created like a little workshop online, not really a workshop, more like a thing that I take them through, reminding of these things, showing them some things, and I'll let you have that at the end. The methodology, what's the word for when you put something in a story to, I'm not saying it right, I'll tell you the thing. So I've given them you're the baker and Copilot is your sous chef. So use it to learn not to bake the cupcakes for you. So, this is the kind of scenario that I've given them. So there's a lot of references to sort of cupcakes and baking and how you are to use the AI to help you, to enable you, rather than to do the stuff for you. It shouldn't be there to replace you. It should be there to enable you to learn better, faster, to understand stuff, go quicker, ask questions, stay curious. It is a very non-judgmental colleague. And so this is the other thing. I personally, for many years, was very, very afraid to ask questions. And so there was so much stuff I didn't know because I wouldn't ask questions because I didn't want to look stupid. This only really stopped for me a few years ago when one of the early in careers that worked for me would, whenever she was in a meeting, she would be the first one to put up her hand. In a town hall, in a room of people, she would put up her hand and she would ask questions, and she always had a load of questions. And the thing is, it never made her look stupid. It made her look smart. And I thought, I wish I had thought of those questions. And so, but when GitHub Copilot came along, I was super happy, chat mode, because I could ask it a million questions without appearing stupid. And I could ask it those questions, it would tell me them, and then when I had finally gone through all of those questions and had it explain stuff to me, if I still couldn't get an answer or an understanding, I would take that to a senior dev, and they would be like, that's an interesting question. So I think it's a good thing because your junior devs, you yourselves, if you are early in career, you can ask it a million questions, and then you can not annoy your senior dev by asking those million questions, and then you can bring your senior dev interesting questions, and so it's win-win for everyone. I've got like a bunch of questions that you could ask it, but they're on the workshop site, so I'll leave them there for you, because I realize that I am once again behind the schedule. So, I was talking to Anthony Shaw yesterday, and he reminded me that it's best practice when you're mentoring people to not put your hands on their keyboard. So when something goes wrong, you explain to them what they need to do, but you don't touch it. You don't take it away from them and say, oh, give me that, I'll do it. You explain, and they learn how to do it by typing the code themselves. And he said that agent mode was, in fact, the AI taking the keyboard for them. And so that's, another reason why we don't want people who are learning to use agent mode. We want them to use chat mode. So use ask mode, stay curious, ask a million questions. It will never judge, and it will never tell. It's also a secret between you and you and your Copilot. So here are the ways that I always tell them to go. So I will often say, could you show me 5 different ways to code this function? And I think that's super useful because when I was at university, as I said, there were no internet. We had a textbook, and the textbook actually only showed you one way to solve the problem. And so either if you couldn't afford a textbook, or even if you could, and it only showed you one way, and you didn't understand that way, then you were really stuck. Whereas now, you can see 5 ways. When it initially came out, what I would do is I would choose the way that made sense to me and use that way. Whereas what I do now is I look at those 5 ways, and then I will ask it to explain those 5 ways to me and explain what scenarios those 5 ways might be better in, and explain when you would use those 5 ways. There was a really interesting interpretation that it gave me where I said which of these 5 ways is better, and it said number 4, and I said, but why did you offer me the best explanation 4th rather than 1st? And it said, well, if you're a beginner programmer, the first one is where you are, and that's how you would code. After you learn these concepts, then you might produce the second one. After you become more advanced than the third one, if you're an enterprise-level programmer in a much more complex code base, then it would make more sense to write it as level 4. And so it had, very reasonably given me 5 different alternatives based on what would be interesting or useful to me. If you're using an enterprise license, and it's looking at the context of your enterprise repositories, what it will offer you is solutions in the context of your organization's code base. So you will get the relevant code in the right style for what you are trying to do. But for us now, if you are a beginner, or if you are teaching beginners, it offers them a bunch of things, and it teaches them and enables them to learn about each of those things and to understand what those all do. Okay, next. I did want to say, because I do often say, explain it to me like I'm 5, because I want the simplest explanation and a fun one. But I also then said, could you explain it to me like I'm a grown-up? And it gave me like an enterprise architecture explanation. And I thought, actually, this is super useful as well. If I want to have a serious grown-up conversation with my senior dev, I could use this language and these words to convince him that this is the way we should do our stuff. Okay, so now this is our resources page. And so that is the workshop that I have created. So not the QR code, that's, I think, still my thing. So this link, these 2 links, one is the full link, one is a short link. It occurred to me that not everyone trusts short links, so then I put the longer link in. And I will just flip and show you what that looks like. So we just have this little website that I've written for them. That's the AI Foundry saw the video playground created that image for me. That's supposed to be me with my dog, but actually it looks like a giant dog in proportion to it. See, it's at thigh level, but it's like a little poodle shih tzu. What else? Oh, look how fun they're having in their coding class. The one that I think has gone through most of the stuff that I talked through today, though, is that Mindshift one, where I'm talking about it's your baker, it's not your baker, it's the sous chef. It's not going to bake the cupcakes for you. Copilot is there to help you bake better cupcakes. And then like some examples and stuff like that all in the thing. So you didn't really need to make any notes because I have put them all on the website. So you can just have a look. It's not complete. I feel like there's so much more I could be putting on there. So if anyone wants to contribute to the repo, then that would be awesome as well. But otherwise, I think we are totally done.